Devonshire Community Center. My name is Mario Paniagua. I'm a Deputy City Manager. I'm going to kick things off tonight, but I just wanted to first introduce our interpreter, Carmen Cota, and give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Thank you. My name is Carmen Cota. I'll be providing interpretation services for our Spanish-speaking audience today. Please give me a moment to introduce myself to them. Buenas tardes, soy Carmen. Les voy a servir de intérprete esta noche. Si ocupa que le interprete o ocupa escuchar la reunión de presupuestos en español, déjeme saber, aquí tengo auriculares. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Councilman Kevin Robinson. Councilman?
Thank you, Mario. As said, my name is Kevin Robinson. As I look around the room, I know a lot of you. So I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank you for participating in this process. It clearly is very important to us to understand more completely about what it is that you want to see from your city and from your city budget. So I'm not going to spend too much time right now. I'll have an opportunity to speak a little bit later. But I will go ahead at this point and just turn it back over to Mario for a couple of comments. We have a video to show you, another video, and we'll get started.
Thank you, Councilman. So yeah, we've actually got two videos to show you, as you mentioned. The first one we're going to be showing you is the Parks and Recreation Department Master Plan. And so this is about the future vision for the Parks and Recreation Department to guide them for the next 10 years and beyond. And so definitely want to hear any input that the community has on that important subject. And so we're going to show you the video on that first, and then we'll get to the budget hearing after that. So we can kick off the Parks video.
Welcome to the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Phoenix Parks and Recreation is dedicated to making Phoenix a better place to live, visit, and play. In this video, we will be answering 3 basic questions. 1. What is a master plan? 2. What is the focus of Phoenix Parks and Recreation's master plan? And 3. How can you get involved? First, what is a master plan? A master plan develops a clear purpose for our department and the vision for recreation facilities, programs, and services for the next decade. A master plan provides an opportunity to receive quality feedback and have meaningful engagement from the community. The Phoenix Parks and Recreation Master Plan will start in fall of 2023 and last approximately 18 months. Second, what is the focus of this master plan? As part of our master plan, Phoenix Parks and Recreation will be evaluating and taking inventory of all existing parks, recreation programming, and facilities, with an emphasis on water conservation and crime prevention. We will also assess community demographics and recreation trends to ensure equitable access to programs and services, and will evaluate how the department prioritizes funding. Lastly, how can you get involved? A large part of the master plan depends on you and your feedback. Phoenix Parks and Recreation will host community workshops, send out surveys, attend community events, survey neighborhoods and parks facilities, and work with community groups to receive feedback about our parks and recreation amenities and services. It's crucial to have public feedback throughout the entire process because, after all, our department serves thousands of Phoenicians every day. Thank you for being part of this journey as we pave the way for the next decade of parks and recreation services, creating spaces for all.
All right, so that's the parks video. So we're also going to be talking about the budget. And I just want to say a few things before we kick off that video. First thing is thank you for being here tonight. Your feedback is extremely important to our city budget process. We do these budget hearings out in the community every year, and the feedback we receive is extremely essential to how that budget is shaped and developed for going forward. And so we just want to thank you again. I want to thank you all for all the city staff as well for being here. So several departments throughout the city are represented here by the city staff for a couple of reasons. One is that they get to hear from you directly and your comments and your input on the budget. But they're also here in case there are any questions that come up about specific departments that we can help answer. And so I just want to thank all of you for being here. The trial budget is what we're talking about tonight, and just a quick overview of the situation we're talking about. We've got an $80 million surplus for the 2024-25 budget, and so that $80 million is a good situation to be in for now. But as we look forward, the Budget and Research Department, actually I should have introduced Amber Williamson, Budget and Research Director, right next to me. Amber does a great job, and one of the things that she does every year is a multi-year forecast, which looks at the budget situation moving forward past the current year and into the future years. And one of the things that showed is that we've got some serious deficits that we're facing in future years, mainly due to some actions at the state level where essentially they cut back on funding that the city is authorized to do. One of those was a residential rental tax that they took away the ability for the city to collect on that. And then the other one was some state shared income tax and the imposition of a new flat tax that came in much lower than the budget estimates had initially forecasted. And so with the combination of those impacting our budget, we're looking at some serious deficits moving forward. And so the staff, the city manager is recommending that we hold on to that $80 million surplus for now so that we can address those deficits in future years. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what your comments are related to the budget. And then going forward, there's a couple meetings coming up with the City Council in May after all the budget hearings are complete. On May 7th, the City Manager will present his proposed budget after the hearings are finished. So that'll be presented to the Council for information and discussion. Then on May 21st, the budget will come back for an action by the City Council for approval going forward. If you want to speak and you haven't already done so, please fill out one of the comment cards. We got them in the back. You can fill those out, and that way we know that you would like to speak and give us input. You can also fill out a card and give your input in writing. If you don't want to speak, we can still take that input from you directly from the card, and you don't have to speak to do that. So just wanted to give you that opportunity. And now we'll kick off the video. So we've got about a 5-minute video to show you on the budget.
The City of Phoenix trial budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, proposed by the Phoenix City Manager, is ready for public review and comment. A trial budget is a preliminary draft of the actual budget, estimating resources and costs to deliver services to the community for the coming fiscal year. How does Phoenix's annual budget work? The city budget is made up of 3 funds: the general fund, enterprise funds, and special revenue funds. The general fund is made up of general sales tax, property taxes, revenue distributed by the state from income tax, sales tax, and vehicle tax, and some fines and fees. The general fund supports many of the core services our residents, visitors, and businesses have come to expect in Phoenix, including libraries, parks, senior and youth programs, and police and fire services. Enterprise funds include city departments that only charge the people who use their services directly, like water and sewer, airline passengers at Sky Harbor, and trash and recycling customers. Finally, special revenue funds earmarked for specific purposes, from grants and voter-approved sales taxes dedicated for parks and preserves, transportation, and public safety. That's how Phoenix gets its money. Now, how do we spend it? Phoenix has a long history of responsible budgeting, ensuring resources are balanced to projected expenses each fiscal year. A top priority of the City Council is to ensure the public can engage in the budget development process every year, giving the community a voice in the future of our city. Residents have multiple opportunities to provide their input ahead of final budget decision-making scheduled for May 21st. Each year, departments work with budget and research to estimate costs to deliver existing programs and services, and staff forecast what resources will be available to pay for services. The city manager then proposes a trial budget in March that identifies how resources should best be allocated to ensure a balanced budget each fiscal year and to achieve city council and community priorities. Then we ask for your input at community budget hearings in April by using the Fund Phoenix interactive budget tool available in English and Spanish, or by contacting the city directly to ensure the budget reflects the priorities of our residents and city council. After receiving your input, the city council will vote on the budget in May and legally adopt the budget in June. State law requires the city's budget to be balanced, and this year the 2024-25 proposed budget includes a projected one-time general fund surplus of $80 million. However, the state legislative and executive branches recently made decisions that reduce the city's tax base. Senate Bill 1131 eliminates residential rental tax, and Senate Bill 1828 reduced individual income tax rates. The total general fund estimated impact in fiscal year 2024-25 is $54 million, and for fiscal year 25-26, $86 million from the state's actions. Due to the estimated ongoing revenue losses, city staff is projecting future deficits in fiscal years 2025-26 and 2026-27. And it is for this reason the city manager is proposing to set aside and reserve the $80 million one-time surplus to ensure future budgets can remain balanced and to preserve existing programs and services such as police and fire, parks, libraries, neighborhood and human services, and other essential community programs that can continue to be delivered to the community. We encourage you to provide your input in whatever way works best for you. You can use Fund Phoenix, an interactive budget tool in English and Spanish that lets you provide direct feedback on the proposed fiscal year 2024-25 general fund trial budget, or by email at budget.research@phoenix.gov. You can comment to the city's social media pages at City of Phoenix AZ on Facebook or on X using hashtag PHXBudget, or call us at 602-262-4800. The city manager will present his proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 to Phoenix City Council on May 7th, 2024. The council's budget decision will take place on May 21st, 2024. All resident feedback will be shared with City Council so they may consider it before making final budget decisions. As a reminder, in November 2023, voters approved a $500 million general obligation bond program made up of 47 projects citywide. Projects include new and improved fire stations, parks, libraries, community and recreation centers, regional pools and splash pads, street and storm drain infrastructure improvements, projects for art facilities, and resources for affordable housing, renewable energy, and water efficiency projects. GeoBond projects are paid for with secondary property taxes, and projects are starting this summer. More information can be found online at phoenix.gov/bond. Thank you for engaging in the budget process and helping build the Phoenix of tomorrow.
Hopefully that was informative for you, but again, if there were some things that weren't very clear or something you want expanded on, obviously we are here to answer those questions for you. But at this point, I'll call the names of the speakers, and if you would, when you come up to the podium, if you could please speak into the microphone. This is being recorded for Phoenix Channel 11. And I'll call the first two speakers so that you're prepared. Nicole Dizon, and Nicole, I hope I'm saying the last name properly. Dizon, thank you. And then Jenny Ann Summers will be after that.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Dizon, and I live in the area of 46th Street in Thomas near Pierce Park and Old Crosscut Canal Parks, as well as the Arcadia Crossing Shopping Center. Our neighborhood has experienced several challenges in our parks and in the shopping center over the past few years. However, the recent work with the Parks Department, including the hiring of private security for Pierce Park and the third shift park rangers citywide, as well as the collaboration of the Neighborhood Services Phoenix Care Specialist and Phoenix PD, have made a considerable difference in changing the dynamic. My comments encompass several themes that I'd like to see in the budget. So you'll hear neighborhoods, safety, community, connection, and efficiency, which I think should be priorities. So my first request is to continue investing in improving civic infrastructure, specifically in our parks. In the current 2024 to 2029 capital improvement program, $250,000 annually has been set aside for restroom upgrades across all 187 city parks. Parks in older parts of the city have restrooms dating back to the 1960s and 1970s. The restrooms do not meet ADA compliance standards or current SEPTED design standards and attract negative behavior in the parks. I'm specifically referring to the restrooms in Pierce Park, which are locked except when the ball fields are reserved. However, I've also visited restrooms at Margaret T. Hans Park and Arcadia Park, which both have older restrooms. I'm happy to see Old Crosscut Canal Park has been placed on the 2024-2029 Capital Improvement Program for replacement of the aging irrigation system. And I'd also like to express my support for the budget set aside for heat resiliency and tree planting projects citywide. I believe investing in this infrastructure communicates to residents that the City of Phoenix values providing quality parks, contributing to a greater overall safety in neighborhoods. My next request is to increase community events for residents to connect, which contributes to increasing their feeling of public safety. Our neighborhood personally benefited from the Park Activation Grant Program offered using ARPA funds through the Parks Department, which we're also grateful for. I propose either the Parks Department increase activities for residents to enjoy across all city parks, such as movies in the park or neighborhood parties or tree planting projects, or offering this grant program again, or increasing funding through neighborhood services to coordinate with neighborhood groups to offer additional opportunities. I believe when neighbors have the opportunity to connect with one another, their feeling of trust and safety will increase, which also contributes to positive mental health outcomes. And that leads me to my last idea, which is I would like to see the city invest in technology to increase efficiency, which will hopefully help us combat the budget shortfall without having to reduce services to residents. Some specific examples that the city has already invested in are the Real-Time Operations Center for the Cactus Park Precinct. I would like to see this type of operation expanded to other precincts, especially the Mountain View Precinct, but any precinct that's experiencing severe challenges. Also in the Parks Department, I would like to see implementation of security cameras in the most challenging parks, as well as increased trash cans to reduce the amount of work for the maintenance staff. I would like to see an improvement to the shopping cart retrieval program in the Neighborhood Services Department and the homeless encampment reporting system through Phoenix Cares. The current reporting procedure on My Phoenix 311 can be challenging as the shopping carts and encampment may have moved by the time the outreach team is available to visit the reported location. I believe if we make these investments now, we'll be ready when the revenue shortfall is set to begin, rather than reacting to the issue as it arises. Our neighborhood is personally grateful for the investments the city has made thus far and are looking forward to the continued investment in not only our neighborhood, but all neighborhoods across Phoenix. My favorite quote ever is, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today." My hope is 20 years from now, residents of Phoenix will be happy that we decided to make these investments in them.
Nicole, thank you very much. Ginny Ann Summer, and then after that, Mike Brannon, and followed by Lisa Glow.
I'm a little weak tonight, sorry. Thank you for the opportunity. Coming to a budget hearings does make a difference. I know from requests I've made in the past. First of all, thank you, Councilman Robinson, for your vote on the proposed amendment to the camping ordinance. I appreciate it. Also, I'd like to thank Director Self for following up on last year's request for graffiti buster permission slips option to be online, and supporting the Citizens Law Enforcement Anti-Graffiti Initiative with the City of Phoenix graffiti information sheet that we will have available for public outreach, and also Betsy Cable for her support in getting that through for us. I support NSD's blight buster reduction request, as NSD coordinating with Phoenix Cares has had a very positive impact in our neighborhood. Pam Jones and Lisa Huggins-Hubbard are terrific people to work with, and we appreciate their attention. And also thanks to Director Aguilar and the Parks Board for the multiple efforts and support to keep our neighborhood parks safe. I support adding funding to allow park ranger and vehicle coverage for 24/7. I support a volunteer coordinator position to promote a parks volunteer program. I support the CIP in the Old Crosscut Canal Park for the aged out and broken irrigation system, and I look for ways to replace some of the grass with other landscaping options. I support adding an assistant city manager position to oversee homeless services and programs. I've experienced the benefit of City Manager Barton, the Office of Homeless Solutions, NSD, PD, Parks, and the Bolt School District in coordinating their efforts in both the Pierce Park, Old Crosscut Canal, and Arcadia Crossing. I support the Homeless Outreach Service to help others obtain their identification, securing forms, transportation, and the benefits assisting them for the individuals. I support adding a Planner 3 position to the Office of Consumer Advocacy to support the vacant storefront program and expand the adaptive reuse program. I support PD's request for citizen investigators and the hiring of additional officers. I also support adding a real-time operations center in Mountain View Precinct soon, please. What I don't support is street sweeping. I don't see any value in the dusty air and the small rocks that come flying behind the street sweepers. As a member of the 44th Community Alliance Steering Committee, we respectfully request the budget for Pierce Park to include additional trees and programming, such as fitness classes and activities. We regret the pool not opening at all this summer. We support finding funding to remodel the bathrooms, as Nicole mentioned, and the rest of the park. And in the Old Crosscut Canal Park, we support consideration being given to design changes, additional trees, identification of the property lines from McDowell to Thomas Roads, and the replacement of the trash cans with locking lids, or at least replace the lids that are there that are cracked and so faded. We understand the bus stops on 44th Street from Thomas to Washington and 44th to 48th Streets are on the list to be converted to septet benches. We support additional funding in this budget to complete this list. Thank you.
Jeannie Ann, thank you very much. Mike Brannon and then Lisa Glow.
Hi there. Real quick, I wanted to thank Councilman Robinson, city staff, our senior staff. Give me a couple minutes. I live at 43rd in Mitchell, and I have for the last 20 years. I'm a Phoenix firefighter and a captain at everybody's favorite station, Station 13, for the last 5. I'm here today representing our community, our local United Phoenix Firefighters, Local 493, as well as a citizen of our great community. I came here today because we have an engaged community here. They care about our district, they care about the city. So real quick, I want to just point out a couple of quick things. I had a great opportunity before the bond passed last time we met in preparation for that. Luckily, the bond had passed, and that gets us a new fire station in our community. And that's going to be, the address is 5008 East Thomas. It's across the street from St. Teresa's. It's the old Phoenix Flower Shop. And we're in the works of getting a fire station over there, and that will provide additional resources and what we need in our community. I'm here today just to bring awareness to a campaign that we're running. It's Phoenix, PHX, firecrisis.com. And what that indicates is that we're outside of a national standard of 5 minutes response times. As of right now, the average is about 9 minutes within Phoenix, the average. We need to bring that down, and to do so, we need to do so with additional resources. What I'm asking for today is us supporting the elected officials, city staff, and bringing those much needed resources to our community. Some real quick numbers. Before I left the station today, I looked up 2023. Engine 13 ran 4,575 calls. Anything over 4,000 is considered extremely high workload, and based on that, we miss about 1 in 5. About 20% of our calls we miss because we're out on other calls. Because we have a automatic aid, we will then have units coming in from other stations to serve our community. That also puts a burden and a drain on that first due. That's their area, geographic footprint within that station for them to provide the much needed service that they are necessary to provide. So we're the 5th busiest. Based on that number, we're the 5th busiest engine out of the 67 engines we have. We're the 5th busiest. The rescue ran 4,000 calls. I'm asking for 2 things: support our elected and support our city staff, and also please go to phxfirecrisis.com and you'll see the much needed needs that we have in our community that we need to make sure on the next cycle, budget cycle, those are addressed. We support the budget. The city's handed a terrible condition. The state put this problem in their hands that they have to deal with. And now we're looking at a $90 million shortfall. Something's going to have to take place, and I wish you the best. We can't forget about public safety. Once again, it's phxfirecrisis.com. Thanks, appreciate it.
Mike, thank you very much. After Lisa Glow, Christina, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing your last name improperly, Akelkraut, and then Annie Eldon after that.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Glow. I'm the CEO at Central Arizona Shelter Services, Arizona's largest, longest-serving homeless emergency shelter program. Thank you, Councilman Robinson, and all of your staff, many I know here, for your incredible support and responsiveness on homelessness, housing, and so many related issues. Thank you, Deputy City Manager and city staff. I see Scott Hall is here. The Office of Homeless Solutions has done incredible work in the last couple of years, and we appreciate the partnership. We also appreciate your support and partnership with CAS for the last 40 years. Last year, we served nearly 7,000 individuals, which was a 4% increase over the prior year. The year prior was a 34% increase in service numbers. These numbers will again rise when we open up the Senior Haven with 170 new beds this summer for the 55 and older population. With the continuing rise in need and our expansion of services, we're asking for your support in this year's budget for our two main shelters. First, our Sunny Slope Family Shelter, which has operated for 35 years in Phoenix. It's an apartment complex serving 120 to 150 family members daily and nightly with emergency shelter, case management, housing support programming. It's second largest after UMOM. The vast majority of folks served there are Phoenix residents. We serve a lot of large families by the way that the apartments are configured. We have families of 9 and 10 quite often. Family homelessness is on the rise in our community, and I believe this is the first time we've asked for a general fund support for this program. We're asking for you to consider a budget allocation of $450,000 to help us keep open at the levels needed to have a sustainable revenue source and partnership from Phoenix. Second, we're asking for an increased amount on our contract for our adult shelter that is 600 beds daily, nightly, 24/7 services, client empowerment, and employment programs. All of these things were added in 2020. We're truly grateful to the city for adding to our recent contract another $169,000, bringing our contract to just over $1 million. Last calendar year, we served over 4,700 adults with 211,000 bed nights. Over the last 2 years, 70 to 80% of all of those clients were Phoenix residents. For case management, similarly, the vast majority are Phoenix residents, 79% of all of our one-on-one case management, Phoenix residents, and almost 70% of all services support Phoenix residents. That doesn't include our housing programs. We're asking you to add another $453,000 to our contract for $1.5 million. This funding will allow us to hire 6 case managers to also pay for our increasing rent and maintenance costs on the key campus, as well as inside the shelter where maintenance costs have also gone up from serving 600 people. So to conclude, we're delivering more than ever to more people with many rising costs, including serving more adults than any other provider in the region. Homelessness is increasing. With the ARPA cliff, we need more help than ever. We're grateful for your recent one-time support out of the ARPA funding, and this will allow us to have some sustainable services so that we can keep delivering at the level we're delivering. Lastly, I want to thank you for your support for our seniors during the pandemic, most recently with a temporary hotel, and we look forward to opening the Senior Haven this summer, bringing those 170 beds online, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Lisa, thank you very much. Christina?
Hello, my name is Christina Eichelkraut. I'm a resident in the Orangedale neighborhood. That's around 48th Street and McDowell. And I want to say, first of all, I'm very excited to hear about the improvements slated for the Crosscut Canal Park. And I'd also like to commend the city on extremely quick and responsiveness to some of the homeless issues that were cropping up in that park. That's been noticeably decreased, and it is much appreciated. However, what I'm here to talk to you about today is the fact that in this area that I live in the neighborhood, there is a great number of disabled people who do not have vehicles and they have mobility issues. So they use wheelchairs, scooters, sometimes hand scooters to get around. For them, them, the Crosscut Canal Park is not a recreation facility. It is basically a highway that helps them get to like key resources such as the Arcadia Crossing Shopping Center, where I'd like to point out there is an affordable eye doctor. You have the CVS prescription. The urgent care is there, a blood test lab is there. Many people use that facility to get their drug testing done for employment, and there's no way to get safely onto the Crosscut Canal Park. Oftentimes you will see people off of Virginia Avenue using a wheelchair, and then in addition to having to navigate across that street, they then have to maneuver their wheelchair through bollards. So I'm here to just ask for even a bare minimum of safety crossing into the Crosscut Canal Park. I realize it was designed and intended as a recreational facility, but the fact of the matter is it has simply evolved into much more than that. And I think there's a real opportunity here to carry on the work of now Congressman Greg Stanton, who did an excellent job of making the city far more friendly to people with disabilities. And I think that this area is highlighted, just so you know, on many disability websites where people are asking where they can move to, where there are resources. You have the bus stop on 44th Street that takes you to the light rail on Washington. Obviously, you have the bus line on McDowell. It is a very potentially accessible area, but there's no way to get to some of like what could be a crown jewel of accessibility and really place Phoenix at the forefront of the country in terms of offering like a pleasant accessibility experience, right? So that's just one thing I'd like to consider. I don't think it would be that huge of a capital improvement project. You could paint streets, and I'd also, if you're willing to talk to me about it, I have identified 5 federal grants that will actually fully fund this through ADA funding, that they are working with cities to do that, and Phoenix qualifies for all 5 of them. So I'm happy to follow up with you on that. Thank you.
Christina, thank you very much. And Annie?
Good evening, Councilman Robinson, city staff. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I know it's a lot on a Thursday evening to come out, and so I really appreciate your time. I also really want to thank you for adding some virtual budget hearings this year. I was able to speak at one of those other night. There's another one on Saturday. If you feel more comfortable just speaking into the microphone rather than speaking in front of people, it might be a little bit easier. So that is another option. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I live in City District Council District number 4 in the area code 85006. So I'm not actually living in this district, but I do ride my bike a lot in this district, as well as around all the city. And I am the president of Phoenix Spokespeople, a nonprofit that focuses on trying to make Phoenix a safer place and more fun and comfortable place to ride a bike. And so we are asking for the following things to be funded. First of all, please ensure that there are funds to continue to build protected bike lanes on 3rd Street from Lincoln to Roosevelt. South Phoenix is still quite segregated from the rest of Phoenix, and this bike lane is one way to begin to build a connection. It also furthers the goals of creating a north-south bikeway. Next, please continue to fund Complete Streets by creating a designated Complete Streets position in the Streets Transportation Department. This way, they would be able to focus on specific ways to make streets complete. And by complete streets, I mean it is easy and comfortable for anyone to walk around, of any age, of any mobility, of any form of transportation. We want it to be safe, we want it to be comfortable, easy, and nice to look at as well. And so that is what complete streets means. So if we can have a specific position in the Streets Transportation Department for that, that could be incredibly helpful to make more streets like that around Phoenix. Thirdly, please continue to fund and implement projects suggested by the Phoenix CAN program. This is a fabulous program that really involves the community and finding out what they need. It brings in members of the community to do the outreach, and they create surveys that are very in-depth to find specific things that, you know, might not be huge when just the city's looking at it, but when you look at your own little neighborhood, it might make a big difference, you know, as much as adding a crosswalk, as adding some more trees. There are many different options. So please continue to keep the Phoenix CAN program going and funded completely for that, and as well as for all their projects. And in general, we would like to have a designated fund for completing quick build projects, many of which could stem from the Phoenix CAN project suggestions. So this could be a huge benefit. We realize that the city budget is limited and precious, and there are many things that need to be funded. Supporting these requests by Phoenix spokespeople would create a safer, more enjoyable space for all of our residents. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Annie, excuse me, Annie, thank you very much. And at this point, that is all the speakers we have that have actually submitted any paperwork. But what I will say, I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for participating in this program. You know, as I look around the room, and I mentioned it earlier, there are plenty of city staffers here. If anybody has any additional questions you'd like to follow up on offline, we're certainly here and available to do that, as well as my city council staff is in the back. Jenny Ringenroth, Jenny will raise her hand, and Cody Kellogg. So if there's anything we can do, certainly please stop and talk to us. But other than that, I believe that is all we have for this evening. So that will conclude this evening's budget hearing. And again, thank you very much for your participation.